We got a canceled fight. And I don't want to call it a no-name fighter, but this isn't a feature match with top contenders, but just happened today. And weigh-ins were 20 or 30 minutes ago. It'll be 3 or 4 hours before I get this turned around and get this to you guys, but it went down this morning. And for the fight for the pay-per-view tomorrow, headlined by Strickland and Duplessis for reference. And the weight class was 125 and the opponent missed. And the rules and regulations actually can vary by jurisdiction, but collectively, the athlete that missed has to be within a certain range. And if he's within that range, then the fight can still go on, but there's mechanisms of punishment. For example, 10% to the commission in many places, 10% to your opponent in many cases. It affects rankings or your ability to be ranked. It's a big deal. Not to mention it's a strike against you. Like if you miss weight and you lose, you could be released. Like that will be 2 strikes against you, right? 3 strikes and you're out. So if you're coming off of a loss, you miss weight and you lose, well, that's 3. But I mean, there is a built-in repercussion. But would it surprise you? In the history of this sport, 3 times is all that's ever happened. 3 times. The history of this sport, the guy that misses weight, the guy who did the infraction, the guy who cheated, who broke the rule, wins all but 3 times. Did you know that? It's an important stat that you do know that as I finish the rest of the story in case you want to figure out who the villain is, because the gentleman who made weight at 125 said, no, I'm not doing it. Fight's off. Now, he's at a training camp. He had to go through all of the processes and procedures to get licensed. The organization had to get him there. Not only that, the organization got the agreed upon opponent there. So when the fight's not going to go on, and the promotion is a television show that needs X amount of content within a window, and they got it balanced perfectly, and now they just lost 1/10. It's a big deal. There's a repercussion. So, the guy says, I'm not going to do it. You missed weight. You broke the rule. I must tell you, I think we understand that, don't we? Like, I think that we understand it. Now, I've always, and this is just personal, felt that the built-in mechanism is enough and it's appropriate, which is 10%. This dude gets 10% less. You just got a 10% bonus. You spot him a few pounds and off we go. Brian Ortega knew he was going to miss weight against Diego Lopez. Knew it. 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Brian has his team, Tiki specifically, call and inform the other side. Now, that was a very cool way to do it. Because the one thing that Ortega does in that moment is not only does he try to preserve the fight and change the weight class, like there is some motivation for why you do it, but Lopez, or Ortega rather, took some pain off of Lopez. He let him know, hey, if you're pulling your weight down, if you're laying there in bed and you're miserable, stop. Because I will not be making that weight class. Therefore, we will not even be fighting that weight class. I'm just sharing you. That is how Ortega did it. And that was a very polite move. And nobody really understood what a cool move that was by Ortega, but truly it was. I mean, there's injury and there's insult. And I've seen this happen. We see each other behind the stage. Before you see those guys walk on the curtain, we see each other in the lobby. We see each other at the gyms. We know how bad that dude is suffering. And if you're sitting on a secret, which is I'm 7 pounds over, I could have stopped his misery 5 hours ago by giving him the very information that I knew he would get eventually. Did you see where it is a little bit of insult and injury? So now if you're the gentleman that makes 125 pounds, you could see where he's pissed off. You could see where he has shown he's going to get his show. But he's going to take your ability to get it away because in his mind, you didn't show. Showing up means you make weight. A lot of guys believe that. And the official rule, just so you understand what this show means, you probably think that's get in the actual cage. Are you ready? Are you ready? No. Legal definition of show is that you make weight. The legal definition of show is not that you make the agreed upon weight. Are you aware of that? So as soon if you go through the scale and you get passed off. Even if you're heavy, but you're within the commission's a limit where they will allow it, you have technically shown. Are you aware of that? And I don't want to lose you in the details. I just want to share with you, like, there is a little bit more to this story. Now, when you're a veteran, it's extremely important that you do not activate that. And guys, this rule was changed because of me. I feel like I have the right to speak on this. I had a title fight. It's like my life's dream. I had a title fight against an undefeated, number one ranked. Anderson was actually ranked number 2 at the time. This guy was ranked number 1. When he missed weight, my ability to fight for the title is now gone. So I go out there, I have the match, I get the desired result, I don't win a championship. And they had told me. They said, Chael, this has never happened. It's never happened where the champion missed weight. We've had challengers miss, but we've never had a champion not make it. So moving forward, if it's a championship fight and the champion doesn't make weight, the challenger can still win the belt, but the champion cannot. So if the guy's a champion and he misses weight and he wins the fight, the belt becomes vacated. The challenger can still win it, but that's not what the rules said at that time. So that was a very devastating moment for me. That was a real, like, that took some real mental toughness to be able to overcome this absolute disappointment to try to get the glorious moment of winning the contest. That was very tough. And I've seen other fights. I had a fight with a guy one time. And anything goes. Don't bite him and don't eye gouge. Anything goes. Except when we got to the rules meeting, you could not elbow your opponent. So my strategy of ground and pound and get him down and get this position, watching guys like Tito and Randy Couture, I was a young guy, but I can do that too. I can get him there and I can do this. And I did get there and I could have done it, but they took that weapon away. And I remember thinking, that was very tough. That was very tough to come in with a strategy that was within the rules as they were described to me and to have that rule thrown out moments before a match. I remember thinking that was very tough. I even made myself a deal. Said if that ever happens to me again, I'm not going to do it. I found myself in that same position. I went forward and did it. But I'm sharing with you, like, you never know what the backstory is on that. The big one that we just saw, I was telling you guys, when you become a real veteran, though, it's a big deal that you don't do this, that you do understand. We're a sport, but we're a business. We're competing, but we're making a television show. And things happen. Crap happens. It's very important that you understand that. And for the most part, guys do. And for the most part, that's why you haven't seen any of your big names or your big fights. I mean, even the Ortega-Lopez fight, they scrambled like hell, but they got it done. Right? We still got Ige into the ring. I'm just sharing for you that, because Wonder Boy had this happen. Wonder Guy against Pereira. And Wonder Boy said, no, you broke the rule. That wasn't what was agreed on. And Wonder Boy took a lot of flack from that. But Wonder Boy was not wrong. It's just a matter of what experiences had Wonder Boy had in the past. Or maybe he was just hip to the stat that only 3 guys ever, this was a big deal on low blows at one point. Low blows and a guy's hurt, but he would get up and fight anyway. And at the time, the time this stat was true was 2009. And I remember it was Dana stood in front of all of us at a UFC Fighter Summit. And he said, regardless of what the internet says, I do not expect you to go on if you have been fouled. That is fully up to you. And if you choose to not go on, we got no heat. And then Dana, to qualify that, said, in the history of the UFC, only one time has a guy been fouled and come back to win. Only one time has the guy that went down and was fouled got up and won the fight. So Dana was letting us know, you're not expected to do that. I know the boos from the crowd. I see the headlines that they got to do this because Dana will be upset. He's just, no, I will not. Just remember, I thought that was a very interesting stat. And I don't know this 25-pounder. I don't know what he went through. I don't know what his experiences were. I don't know what deals he had made himself or what he's seen in the past. But he didn't get the fight. He had an opportunity. They would have still done the fight. It was a choice. It was his choice. And he said no. Who's right here? If in every situation somebody's at fault, there's no draws, every situation in life somebody's wrong, who in this situation is wrong?